Welcome, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. Are you ready for Halloween? This Ghost Parade quilt is a quick one to draft in electric quilt and an even quicker one to piece using foundation piecing techniques. I'm going to select New Project and I'm going to label this one Ghost Parade, and I will select OK. And I'm going to start by designing a block from scratch. And I'm going to do a new block, Pieced Easy Draw. And in the Precision toolbar, I'm going to change the block width and height to 4 by 6. I'm going to do snaps of 8 by 12. I'm going to turn the graph paper cells on and set those at 4 to 6 as well. And the only snapping option I want on is snap to grid points on work table. So my goal in creating this foundation is to create one that can be done with only 2 sections. I'm going to start by drawing a horizontal line at 4.5 inches. And I am going to create the bottom of the ghost by starting at the left corner and then going up to the line I just drew at the 1-inch mark. And then I'm going to click, hold, and release and go down to the 1.5 inch mark on the ruler and the bottom of the block. And then I'm going to go back to the center of the top line, and I'm going to go over another 1/2 inch down to the bottom, and then another 1/2 inch up to the top, and then to the lower right corner. Then I'm going to draw another line at 2 inches and a third horizontal line at 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to put the eyes in this section. So I'm going to draw vertical lines at 1 inch and 1.5 inches, and then at 2.5 inches and 3. And then for the top, I'm just going to put 45-degree angles going from the 1-inch mark on the left axis to the 1-inch mark on the top, and from the 3-inch mark on the top to the 1-inch mark on the right border. And so I am ready to color this. And I'm going to open Library, and I'm going to select the themes, and I am going to go to the 20 Holidays Fall, and I'm going to select all fabrics and add to Sketchbook, and then close. Now I will use the paintbrush and color the block. And I am going to go ahead and add this to the project sketchbook. Now I'm ready to work on my quilt. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to select Design a Quilt from Scratch. And I'm going to select New Quilt, and I'm going to scroll over on the ribbon toolbar and select Custom Set. In the Layout tab, I am going to select the width to 29.5 inches and the height to 9 inches. And then I'm going to go to the Border tab, and I'm going to have the first border be a 1-inch long horizontal, and then I'm going to add a second border and make that a 2-inch long horizontal. Now I'm going to, I've typed in 2 next to left. I'm going to turn the lock size adjustments to all and click on the slider bar, and it will change all 4 borders. So now I'm going to go to the Design tab, and I'm going to select Set Block, and I'm going to scroll over and find the ghost block and drag it on the workspace. Now I'm going to select it with the Adjust tool, and I'm going to line it up with the lower left corner in the center. Now, one of the things that if it's not snapping in place, check your quilt grid setup under Adjust. Turn on all your grid snap options and change the grid snap increment to a 1/2 inch, and that will make placement of the blocks much easier. For the next one, I'm going to, with the Adjust tool, select a Copy and Paste, and I'm going to move it over about 1 inch, but I am going to actually resize this one. I'm going to drag the node in the bottom of the center so it fills the block. Now notice that the block is now 4 by 9 inches. Now I am going to move this slightly away and move that back into position. This will ensure that my block is still snapping to a grid point. So for the third one, I'm going to select it. I'm going to select the first block again and do a copy paste, and I'm going to put that over about 1 inch and then maybe about 2 inches down. Then I'm going to select the second one, do a copy and paste, and I'm going to move that about 1 inch over, and I'm going to increase this until it's about 5.5 inches. And again, I will move that out of position and move it back into position. And then I'm going to take the first one and do one more copy and paste and move that about 1 inch over. Now what I decided was this is really bigger than what I want. So I could either move them around, or I could use my tape measure, measure the distance, noticing that it is 25.5 inches, and I'm going to go back to the Layout tab, make sure I have maintained the existing block sizes turned on, and then change the width to 25.5. And now when I go back to the Design tab, the ghosts better fill that center space. So now I'm going to do the set block, and I want a plain block. And so I'm going to click on the 3 dots and select Add Plain Block. And I can now drag that on the workspace, and with the Adjust tool I can resize that to fit right above the first ghost. Now I'm going to move that out of the way and let it click into place. Notice that that's 4 by 3, and I can do a copy and paste and put that over the last ghost. Now I'm also going to do another paste, and I'm going to put that over the ghost in the center, but I need to shrink that block, and so I can just drag that node at the bottom up, let it shrink, and then do another copy and paste, and move the nodes to shrink it. And notice that everything is snapping because I not only have block snap position on, but I have snap block size to grid on as well. So now I can do another set block, and for this one I need to just fill in that sort of pseudo sashing. And the beauty is I don't even really need to know the size, I just can fill in the spaces and then do copy and paste for the remainder. And then I'm going to go to the fabric tools. I can use the eyedropper to find this one, and I'm going to use the swap color to color all of those squares, and the paintbrush to color the first border. And then I want to find a fabric for the outer border. So I'm going to use that Trick or Treat and use the Control key. And if I wanted to rotate the fabric along the sides, because that's probably, if I was cutting it, how I would cut it. And once I have that done, I can add it to the project sketchbook. For additional tips and techniques, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter at www.onpointquilter.com.